When I'm talking to someone who's looking to buy a house down the line, could be a few months from now, it could be a year from now, the question they always ask, Javier, what's the first thing I have to know when it's time for me to buy a house? And of course, it's natural to think what's going to be these complicated subjects like housing programs and financing and what down payment assistance programs and the negotiation process, how the process is of buying a house. No, it's none of that. It's quite simply the timeline. The thing is when you're ready to buy a house and you start involving other parties, lenders for pre-approvals, real estate agents to help you show houses or maybe guide you, the fact of the matter is you're letting someone else at that point dictate your timeline. You may not have been ready to buy until a year from now, but once you have that conversation, you might feel a little pushed, or maybe you start feeling that, excitement in the air. Ooh, how exciting. Well, I mean, it used to be exciting to buy a house, but it's kind of hard time right now. But anyways, point is, today's video, I want to talk about what the timeline looks like for you to help you buy a house. I don't care if you're buying next month or years from now. Knowing this is going to be the core thing of your home buying journey, because having this core knowledge is going to help you plan, prepare, and there should be a third thing there that probably will sound really cool, but I can't really come up with something right now. So we're just going to name the third one a mystery. Let's go with that. Does that work for everybody? So let's assume right now you're ready, you're willing, and you're able to buy a house. You got cash in the bank, your credit score is solid, your job is solid, and maybe you have a lease coming up in 2 months or 3 months, and you're like, dude, let's go. I'm ready to buy a house right now. Well, we're gonna assume this is you for now, so we can really describe the perfect timeline of how it works like. Now, I'm gonna throw in some wrenches here and there that might be relevant to you, but to get those wrenches thrown at us, we have to first have the solid base, because wrenches hurt and we don't want to get hit. The second you decide that you're ready to buy a house, I believe the first thing you should do is get pre-approved. When you talk to the lender, they're going to essentially do what's called a pre-qualification. Most of the time, they pull your credit, which means ask for your social security, some private information. They'll get some general information about your house, and they'll be able to tell you, like the best way comes to mind is más o menos, in Spanish. They'll be able to tell you if you're pre-approved, but they're not going to really know until they get some solid info. So they're going to probably do a follow-up email and request more documentation, statements, tax records, a few months of pay stubs, wherever source your funds are coming from, asking for statements for that, all that good stuff. And once they have all this stuff, they're going to send it to an underwriter and they're going to overview it to make sure if you qualify. And once the underwriter gives the seal of approval, they'll give you an official pre-qualification form. Now, it's really important that you get two numbers here. A lot of times, if you tell a lender, I only want a payment of this much, well, they might only give you a pre-qualification for this much, and you might go and waste months of time because you're going to go look at a house in this price range and not like anything. You're going to think, man, if only I qualified for just another $10,000. Well, you might have, because you told the lender you want this monthly payment. That's the qualification they gave you. So it's really important that you get two numbers. Ask the lender what the pre-qualification for the kind of like the price range of the payment you want, and ask for your max pre-qualification. Now, when you talk to the realtor, you're not going to give them your max pre-qualification. They don't have to know. I mean, you can tell them, but give them the pre-qualification of what you want to be around. Now, listen, this market's crazy. If I get someone looking to buy 240 in Phoenix right now, I'll just frankly tell them, it's not working. It's not going to happen. And at that point, you can say, well, I can go this much higher. Can this work? And then boom, you can make it work out, right? But a lot of times, realtors try to push that price range even without you asking. And, you have to make sure to really determine if they're just them trying to be greedy or them essentially just trying to, genuinely help you. Because believe it or not, an extra $10,000 or $20,000 doesn't make us that much more money. It's a few $100. So we're not doing it to get more money. We're doing it sometimes to, open up your range here, because everybody always starts off with this. And people think that we want you to be like this. But really, we kind of have to be loose, like here in the middle, right? This whole entire pre-approval process takes about a week. It's not too crazy. If you're a super slowpoke, it might take you 2 weeks, meaning you take your sweet time sending the documents to the lender, or if, let's say, the lender needs some kind of verification of employment from your employer and your employer's dragging you, so well, then probably going to take you closer to 2 or 3 weeks. But if you get those documents like right away, your employer gets all the information right away, I mean, you can be pre-approved within a few days. Now, there are lenders out there that'll tell you, like, I'm looking at you, online lenders. You put some information on a form online and they'll send you an email saying you're pre-approved. That's not going to work, fam. If a lender is telling you you're fully pre-approved and they're not asking for a single documentation, you need to look them square in the eye and give them a stone cold stunner. Maybe they're trying to be nice, they're trying to get you going, but the reality is you want to make sure you get a full pre-approval, a free pre-qualification. And by the way, let's get this straight now. I always get these questions like, Javier, what's the difference between a pre-qualification and pre-approval? Guys, it's marketing. It's marketing. Oh, my buyer has a pre-approval. Well, my buyer has a pre-qualifications. No, it doesn't matter. Here in Arizona, it's called an AARP pre-QF, pre-qualification form. Is there a pre-approval form? No. A pre-approval is just another way of saying pre-qualification. What's really important is if you get a pre-qualification with a DU underwriting approval, meaning it's desktop underwritten approval. Doesn't matter if you call it PQF or pre-approval. I don't care. Call it whatever you want to, but if you really want to be badass, it's a DU approval attached to it, a desktop underwriting approval. So, editor, put a really cool Spanish song that I'm playing right now. That's right, I totally played that. First and foremost, YouTube says that only this percentage of people are subscribed. So, how dare you? If you're not subscribed, subscribe and like and comment. It helps me with the algorithm. Also, want to give a quick plug here to homewinmoney.com/Javier if you want an agent referral. Link is in the description below. Doesn't matter if you're looking to buy this month, next month, a few months from now. We have an entire network of amazing agents that are freaking awesome. When you request a referral through homewinmoney.com/Javier, they actually find one that's tailor-made just for you. And while you're at it, subscribe, like, comment, help me out, please. You know, I got all these Spanish guitar skills. I want to show it off to people. So that's going to take you approximately 0 to 2 weeks. Now, once you get that pre-qualification form or pre-approval form, you are ready to start looking for a house. Now, this is where we're going to get into the wild territory because, you know, I'm not Nostradamus here. I can't predict what's going to happen with your house search. I can assume that you're going to be looking diligently, and I'm going to assume that you're looking at a price range that's competitive, but not so competitive. So if you're looking in a super competitive price range, you could be looking for months. Likewise, you could be looking in a pretty flexible price range, and you just don't feel comfortable making aggressive offers, and you might be looking for months. So here's the thing. I like to maybe go out for a weekend or two, probably one weekend mostly, and just get rid of the shakes. What do I call the shakes? That feeling in your gut, that tremble in your hands when you're finally starting to realize, oh my gosh, I'm going to be buying a house. And there's going to be a lot of voices in your head, or maybe if you take your mom and your uncle, because there's nothing more that we love as realtors than having your dad and your mom come and literally hate every house they see. Get rid of the shakes. Go one weekend, maybe second weekend if you're busy that weekend or the realtor's busy that weekend, and look at even houses you don't have a shot at. Just go and look, because odds are you're probably not going to believe the real estate agent when they tell you the market's crazy, or maybe you're watching this in a later day and the market's not so crazy. You're not going to believe them. I get it. So go look at the houses. Once you find one you love, maybe don't make an offer, maybe make it, and then learn from it. Have the realtor find out what was the highest best offer that they got or that they won. So that way you can see, oh, these kind of houses receive these kind of offers. So these are the kind of offers I need to make for these kind of houses. And these kind of houses didn't really go that aggressive, so this is the one I'm looking for. You start becoming your own expert. And this is what I really like to preach to my clients is, yes, use me as a resource, use my team as a resource, but you want to become the expert of your price range in your area, because eventually down the road, you're not going to need us realtors. So you're just going to be able to get a lockbox and go look at houses by yourself, and that's fine. But you want to become your own experts. And once you get rid of the shakes, then you can get extremely lucky. And the next week you can find a house that's just the right one, and you make the right offer and it gets accepted. And oh my gosh, it's amazing when this happens. You might get a little buyer's remorse. That's totally fine, but it's rare when this happens. If I've been looking for a client more than 2 months, then we need to have a conversation. Like, what's going on here? Is the price range or the offers right? What's going on here? And you want to make sure that you have someone who's going to have those hard conversations with you, because believe it or not, there are realtors out there that are just going to be showing you for months and months and months and months and not really do anything. You want to have someone to sit down with you and be like, hey, what's going on? Is the area wrong? Is the price range wrong? Or maybe this is not the right market. So I'm going to say 1 to 2 months is your searching, and maybe 3 months if you have a really special circumstance. All those people that are saying I've been looking for 6 months, there's something wrong there. They haven't realized that this is just not the market for them. Or quite frankly, they're not in the position to buy right now. because they keep making lowball offers or whatever. You might be watching this and the housing market might be great. Right now, where I'm making this, it's not amazing. So wherever you are right now, just simply do this. What does the market need from you at this moment? You're going to quickly learn once you go look at a bunch of houses and you do follow-up research on them, what kind of offers win in that market. Are you able to duplicate that offer or make similar offers? If the answer is yes, then you're in the right market. If the answer is no, then start looking at different houses in different price ranges or different quality, or quite frankly, take a break. Nothing wrong with taking a break, but it's that simple. No need to complicate it. No need to go down the housing market rabbit hole in YouTube. It is that simple. So far we have 2 weeks of the pre-approval, 1 to 2 months of showing time. And once you get your offer accepted, it feels like you just won the lottery. If this was an HGTV show, you would get your keys the next day, start barbecuing the next weekend, and boy, oh boy, life is good. It's not the case. Now, this could be as little as 25 days. It can be as 30 days. It can be as much as 60 days. It really depends on your loan type. Now, I'm not going to get myself in trouble here and say this is the date. I'm going to say that in the last year or two, I've been confidently being able to close most houses 30 to 35 days. I rarely close late. I have an amazing lender that helps me that never closes late. However, when there is a delay after a 30-day closing, it might be an extra few days, or there might be a freak of nature thing like someone lost some document or whatever. So if it goes past 45 days, that's rare, but your state might be different. So during this next 30 to 45 day period, you're doing your inspections, you're doing your appraisals, you're doing all of the getting your final approval for your loan, because that's right, you haven't gotten your approval on your loan yet, which is why I hate calling it a pre-approval. You get your final approval when you're in escrow, and you're only qualified before then. So they're going to start collecting more documents. They're going to run it through a serious underwriter, and once that 30-day period is done and it closes, you are officially a homeowner. At its worst, let's say you do take 2 months and you did take 2 weeks to look for a house. It could be up to 3 to 4 months to buy a house. Now, it could be as 2 to 3 months if you're really on the ball, but odds are a good average is 3 months of the whole entire process. Now, it's really important to remember the following. A lot of people have leases up, or they have like their parents taking them out. Remember this: you don't pay your first month's payment right away. You pay 1 to 2 months later. Here's how you figure out what your first payment would be. Whatever month you're in right now, the month you close in, you don't make a payment. The month after, you don't make a payment. The month following is when you would make the payment. Now, let's say it's October, okay? If you close in October, you don't pay a payment in October, November, December 1st is your first payment. Now, it doesn't matter if you close October 1st or October 30th or October 15th. You're still not going to pay that month. So that's why I say 1 to 2 months later, because if you close at the end of October, it might only feel like a month, right? It might only feel like November, and then you make your first payment in December. And if you close in the beginning of October, it might feel like 2 months. But the reality is if you close at the end of the month, you're going to pay less closing costs. You have to come up with less money. But if you close at the beginning of the month, you might have to come up with more closing costs because they charge you a per diem of interest for that month. So if you're willing to pay more for a closing cost and you want the extra month, then that's fine. Also, this month that they give you is not really for free. They do eventually collect that interest when you sell the house or towards the end. So nothing's free in this country, fortunately. If you have a day in mind that you're trying to close by, let's say your lease is up March 31st, don't close March 30th. Do not move out in a day. Come on, don't do that. And you're like, really, things happen with real estate. Seller can have a problem. You can have a problem. The lending can have a problem. It's insane. So try to close at least 2 to 4 weeks before you have to move out. Even if you have extra time, that is much more preferred, because even if you do close a week late, you have that buffer. So I really would say 30 days, but I know some of you guys like to live on the edge. So 2 weeks is fine, but please, oh, please do not close right on that day. It's not going to give you enough time, and you never want to move out with this one day. It never works out. I know you always try to. I always try to, and it never works out, and you're just exhausted for like a month. So now, Javier, what if I have credit problems and I don't know if I qualify for a house? Well, you don't want to just say, Javier, well, I just saw Javier's video, and he says 3 months, so I need to be out by December, so I'm going to start looking, September, October. And then you don't want to wait till September, October if you always had issues with the credit, because what's going to happen is you're going to get your credit pulled October, you have a 450, and now you can't buy. Now you're going to have to find another place to rent, or you extended a year. So if you've been known to have credit issues, have your credit checked 6 months before, preferably with a mortgage broker. Yes, it's going to be a hard inquiry, but they're going to be able to tell you exactly what their underwriter wants to see for you to qualify. And if you're kind of like on the edge, like I don't know if I'm at 640 or 720, Credit Karma tends to be weird sometimes. I would suggest you still do the 6-month thing because you want to be double. And if you end up being great, then you're fine. If you end up needing to have the help, then you just dodge the bullet. If you're pretty confident with your credit, then that's fine. You could wait till 3 months before to start the process. But if you're on the fence, or you're for sure not had good credit most of your life, try to do it with advance. And even if you have really bad credit, maybe a year before that, where you can really start working on things. So understanding the timeline will now help you get a better idea of how to start planning. You can start watching the more appropriate videos. If you're months out, if you're years out, you can start watching things on building your savings, building your investments, building your credit score. Maybe you're a few months out, now you're going to start looking into more of the tactical things like negotiation tips and whatnot. So now hopefully you have some planning to do. So hope you and your spouse, or just you and your mom, or you and your dad, or whoever, tell your mom I said hi. Kidding, I'm sorry, Mom.